Hello and welcome to Microsoft Digital Now. I'm Andrew Wilson, Microsoft's Chief Digital Officer. Today, technology is at the heart of every business. Its mission criticality, its speed is something we're all having to deal with. On this series of conversations, I'm looking forward to speaking with friends, industry leaders, both within Microsoft and across the industry, about how they're tackling digital and wider business transformation. So let's get to it. Hello. Today, we're talking data. Every digital strategy needs a modern data posture. And I can't think of two better people to spend time with us today exploring that than Rohan and Karthik. Hi, guys. Nice to see you.
Hi, Andrew.
Let's start by just exploring your roles at Microsoft. Rohan.
I lead the Azure Data Organization, Andrew. So that's the team that's responsible for everything that we do around data, starting with SQL Server, of course, and then all the services that we've built out in the cloud for operational databases, analytics, business intelligence, and data governance.
The entire intelligent data platform.
That is correct.
And Karthik.
Yeah, so I currently lead the go-to-market for our analytics and data governance solutions. And just prior to my current role, I had the opportunity to lead Microsoft's internal data transformation journey. And lots of great learnings and experiences, and super happy to be here to talk about this incredible topic.
Trying out our very own data products first. So, Rohan, for those less familiar with data, talk us through the components of an intelligent data platform.
Oh, thank you for that question, Andrew. So if you look at any data estate, it's broadly divided into three key pillars. So you have applications that you built on top of databases. So that's, what
the old systems of record?
That's right, the old systems of record. So that's sort of called the databases pillar. Then you have what's called analytics and business intelligence. So this is really where, your classic enterprise data warehouses, the business intelligence platforms, that's the second part of it. And the third pillar is really around data governance, which used to be basically just data management, discovery of data. But given all the regulations that have come out on data privacy, that's becoming increasingly important as a workload on top of the governance platform. So generally, when you look at any customer, you can sort of broadly classify the data investments that they've made into these three pillars.
Now, customers, I know, are searching for the new answer to data. I've myself presided over a couple of data strategies thanks to your products. Data's owned everywhere. Data is owned by everyone. There's a fiefdom, there's protectionism. There are various standards for its access. The question of duplication, the question of system of record, it's an area ripe for modernization, and organizations need to move with speed. Karthik, you and I work together. We've been scaling these products. From your perspective, what does this new data posture bring to an enterprise?
Yes, I think the thing is, you made a very good point about the amount of protectiveness that people tend to have over their data estates and their data, right? But what I personally found from my experiences is there's two things that we can get everyone to agree on. One is the importance of accelerating value creation from the data assets. And the other is the need to responsibly manage the enterprise data estate to do the first. And those are two which are not going to get a lot of pushback or debate. Now, it's really a question about how do you navigate an enterprise through the change management and the technology transformation to do both of those in a complementary way.
And this is real, isn't it? Because we spend time with customers. Rohan, from your perspective, what do customers need and what adoption patterns do you see?
The most important discussion that we have with customers, Andrew, and it's not, maybe not very controversial, is how do I get more value from my data? The big challenge, of course, is there's data stuck in multiple different systems. And, whether they're systems of record and how do I get that data to a place where I can analyze it? And to your point, like how do I make sure that I'm not creating multiple copies? Because it's not just about being expensive, but how it becomes very, very hard to manage. And by the way, as I'm getting insights from data, how do I make sure that I do that in a manner that respects data privacy regulations, right? So it's extremely complex. And that's one of the reasons, when we launched the Intelligent Data Platform, our thesis there really was how do we look at these friction points that exist between these systems and solve for that. So you don't have to worry about moving the data across silos. We sort of, do it for you because that's a big friction point. Governance should not be an afterthought. It should just be everywhere, like where your data is getting produced, changed, deleted, added, so that your data map that understands your estate is very comprehensive and very current, right? So these are the kind of challenges that we see in terms of from our customers, like in terms of what they see in terms of getting value. And the other big part really is in terms of how do you make sure that they're not spending time stitching these multiple varied systems and really are focusing on adding the business logic to get value?
I think having data scientists who can generate real-time insight, having an organization that's data-led, not system-led, are really powerful tenets of a modern strategy. Yet, it's hard, isn't it, Karthik, to convince people to come to this. So from your perspective, what were some of the barriers and how did you get over them?
Yes, I think the biggest barrier that we really faced was, I would say, largely around the cultural transformation associated with the data journey, right? Because I think the recognition of the fact that data is a complementary sort of discipline and asset to software and code is something that still needs to be deeply internalized by organizations. And we had the very same, I would say, change management challenges, if you may, right? Where the recognition of not just data as a discipline, but also as an asset that requires a fair amount of complementary practices to software engineering to manage well as integrate really well with the software assets to create those truly transformative experiences is, I think, one of the biggest cultural sort of shifts that we had to influence. And to me, I think it came down to two things. First, recognizing that data is truly an organizational asset. It's not an individual asset. It's not a team asset. It's an organizational asset, right? So every time you run into these discussions around, hey, this is my data, this is my team's data, it's like, why would I share this? Why would I democratize this? Helping lead the conversation with the true value scenarios for the organization, where you can demonstrate the power of connected data to move an organization forward, is one of the ways in which I found it to be an effective medium to bridge that gap. And then get people to see the opportunity to apply their data assets for broader organization-wide purposes. And then it comes down to being able to also create the confidence in terms of how a team can responsibly democratize their data while still having full control over their data policies and full line of sight visibility into how their data gets applied, so that they can feel safe, sort of like enabling their data to be used for broader use cases across the organization. So everything that Rohan spoke about in terms of what we're trying to do in the intelligent data platform is to really make it simple for not just us in Microsoft, but also for all of our customers to be able to integrate the enterprise-wide data assets to accelerate that kind of value creation in a responsible way, focusing more on the true value of data as opposed to needing to duplicate redundant infrastructure investments to sort of like do it.
Yeah. And I think for me, what's powerful is, you often hear the word governance, don't you? And it sounds like barrier, inflexible, lack of pace. Well, in fact, it's the reverse. And knowing who owns the data and knowing who is using the data, really powerful to customers. And that's what's been exciting in dialogue with the customers. But now, going under the covers a little, if you run this data platform, give us a little flavor of what we should see and expect next. What are you excited about by way of new capabilities?
A few things. I mean, there's just so much of innovation, Andrew, that's happening across. The biggest thing that I'm excited about is, we made a pretty significant pivot in our product strategy from not just focusing on building best-in-class databases, best-in-class analytic services, business intelligence platforms and data governance, to this unified integrated platform, just given the breadth of our portfolio, because that's where we're starting to see tangible benefits that our customers are getting, right? If you don't have to worry about ETL processes because all your transactional data is landing into your analytic systems in near real time, to your point, now you can do real-time analytics. You can effectively change every application that you have could be intelligent because it's learning in real time, and you could retrain your machine learning models, deploy it back to the application, all while your data is being governed, right? So just the investments that we're doing in looking horizontally across these pillars to stitch them together to solve for customer challenges is something that I'm super excited about. The other big part is how we're deeply integrating our intelligent data platform with the Microsoft Cloud. So if you're an M365 customer, if you're a Dynamics customer, if you're a Power Platform customer, if you're a GitHub developer, you'll get tremendous value from leveraging our intelligent data platform through the native integrations we've built out. I'll give you an example. Power BI has become like this de facto business intelligence platform for sharing data in M365, whether it's Teams or Excel or PowerPoint or SharePoint. Now, through the integrations that we've built, all the data is landing into Synapse. It gets available in Power BI as shared data sets. And now you can share that across your business users. It takes a lot of effort to build things like these, right? From a customer standpoint, and we're just completely automating that. So that's part, and then one thing final I'll talk about, which we announced at Ignite, was this whole distributed SQL paradigm with Postgres, which is becoming a very popular open source database on top of Cosmos DB. That I believe is going to be a game changer.
The tool set is really powerful, and thanks to the leadership you've brought to it, great product. Karthik, I'm just reflecting on the fact that we were able to solve problems and create insights with the data platform that we just couldn't do before. And sustainability comes to mind. Just briefly highlight that as a use case that can really accelerate enterprise solution.
Absolutely. I think you make a great point about transformative use cases really requiring companies to think about how they can connect data from across their organization-wide data assets. So I would say like about 5-10 years ago, it was all about data silos and line of business specific data assets serving line of business applications, versus most of the digital transformation scenarios really do require you to connect enterprise-wide data. The example that you shared is a great example, the sustainability sort of like reporting and insights that we enabled for the company, which needed us to connect signals pertaining to sustainability from across multiple line of business operational systems enterprise-wide, and to create sort of a common data model around our sustainability data estate, which could then be used to create the reports and the insights that are now helping us be a more sort of sustainable sort of operations company. So that's a great example, one of many that you and I have traversed, where the true power of connecting data across an enterprise is really what's going to drive those transformative evolutions.
It truly is one of the most exciting parts of a modern transformational strategy. Gents, thank you. We have a little tradition on the show of wanting to send you away with a gift. So on behalf of everyone on Digital Now, we wanted to reflect the fact you're in global roles, you're leading the world, and you're bringing new insights and something which can help the world, to Kartik's point. So we have something for each of you. They're quite big, so I think there's only one in here. But this also reflects my hobby over the lockdown. We have one of these each for you. Here is one. The other one's round the back. I'll get it out in a minute. It's a Lego globe. So on behalf of everyone on Digital Now, Rowan, thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you so much,
We
Andrew.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so
Data democratization in action globally. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.